Oh, we have a smaller group. Oh, okay, that's Bila. Bila, welcome in. How you doing, Bila?
I'm great.
All right, fantastic. So, hey, let's have a little fun here. I'm going to do a conversation with Vera, and Vera is going to practice some of those negotiation techniques that we just heard about. Okay, so I'll be a university administrator, or wait, Vera will be a university administrator, and then I'll use my tactics to converse with Vera. Okay, so here's the idea. Vera is, let's say she's a let's say what she should be. Let's say Vera's professor, okay? And I'm going to approach Vera to ask if Bukit Vista can be a speaker at her next class. So I called Vera on the phone, but of course you can do this through text or email or whatnot. But here's how I would lay it out. Okay, Vera, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Mr. Jing. Great. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Sounds like you're having a great day over there.
E- Not really, but yeah, it's still okay lah for me.
It's okay, La?
Okay, I mean like still it's still handleable
No,
under yeah.
handleable.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like you have control of the situation then.
Correct. Yeah, I'm still able to like keep up with my task and schedules for the day.
Okay. Well, I don't want to actually be the person who's going to ruin your day here, right? But
Mhm.
I have a request, and hopefully you won't kill me over it. Can I tell you what it is?
Yeah, sure, please.
Okay. All right. So, Book of Vista has some pretty interesting um, learnings we've done over the past months, right? And we think that some of this would be actually applicable to academia. And we're hoping to share some of our experience in industry that might help your students become better educated and prepared for the real world. Would that be interesting?
That sounds interesting, but please tell me more about
Okay.
yeah, your
Well,
company.
great. So I was hoping you would say that. And the thing that we have is this, right? So I know that your research focuses a lot on user behavior and designing user experiences so that it can integrate technology to the population better. Well, we've had some actually really interesting designs on guiding user experience based on creating better hospitality experiences for our guests, but also creating better community experiences to people who own properties, and also better employee experiences for our own employees. We think that we're using some really innovative and leading ideas here. And I think if we present these to your students, they would be pretty interested in exploring these, perhaps for research or just for inspiration.
Oh, that sounds nice. Okay. Yeah. Wait, sir, wait, sir. Pause. What professor am I? What?
I just introduced you a professor of, let's say, user research experience, maybe professor of
Okay.
psychology. Yeah.
All right. Now I get it. Okay. All right. That sounds nice. But then, like, do you have like any potential speakers from your side?
Yeah, I do. I have a few speakers. We have Nadia. She's a UI expert, and I also can speak myself since I've been doing a lot of the coordination. And perhaps Bila, who's on our PR team, has been really thinking a lot about employee experiences. And also, we have this really interesting person. She shares the same name as you. Her name is Vera as well, and she's been working a lot on guiding our employee onboarding, and she's been really coming up with really interesting methods of improving that user experience of getting new employees into the company as quickly as possible.
Okay, that does sounds very interesting.
Sounds interesting, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, if it's me, I'm going to talk with my the people, the boss.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna get back to you.
Okay. Well, here's the other thing. So our program is kind of looking to get involved in the next few weeks because in addition to
Mhm.
approaching your school, we're also approaching a few other schools. And I just want to make sure that you guys are at the front of the list, right? So would it be possible to try to get a decision maybe by this week?
Oh, sure.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Then what I'm going to do is I'll let you speak to your team. And here's what I can also email you a detailed brochure about what we do that summarizes our conversation so you can present it to your team, and we'll touch base at the end of the week and see if we can make this happen.
Yes, please
Okay,
send the proposals. I can take a look at it.
fantastic. Very good. Okay, all right. That's the end of the simulation. So for everyone here, let's go to Bila. Bila, is that useful, let's say, for your particular life? Would you be able to take some of these techniques and apply them to your day-to-day work?
Yeah, actually, that's something that we do a lot, like right when we are pitching. But I feel like Kak Vera is way too nice compared to like people in real life because they usually ask for unexpected thing that I just cannot think of. Oh,
Okay,
okay.
let's try it with you, Bila. So why don't you be the university representative? You'll be, let's say, a administrator in a career center, okay? And then I will try to pitch to you. But the one thing I want you guys to take away here is the process of negotiation and persuasion. We use all these different techniques here, right? A label. So a label is I'm trying to understand the situation and I label it. It seems like you are nervous. It seems like there is some hesitation for you to get in this deal. It sounds like you might have some other concerns. Okay. This is a way to start building tactical empathy with your counterparty so that they feel comfortable sharing what their concerns are. Yes, you're right. I do have some concerns, right? A mirror. A mirror is simply repeating what they've just told you, right? They say, we don't have budget for this. And then you just go, oh, you don't have budget for this. Yeah, like I just said, we don't have budget for that. It sounds like you might want to tell me a little bit more, right? So ask for more information, figure out what their budgeting plan is. Okay. Accusation audit. You probably get tons of people asking you this every day, and the first thing you want to do is probably leave this meeting, right? But I'm here to tell you that. So accusation audit removes the fear of what they might feel. Okay, let me give you an example. I did not do this, but I wish I did. Nabila, you went to FEB, Facultas Economy and Business, right?
No, I'm from Visipol,
Oh,
Social and
physical.
Politics.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Those buildings are pretty close, no? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So,
It's my neighbor actually.
I went and visited the dean one time bringing KDK, right? And she was
Oh.
crying, and it was kind of a mess. I don't think I even dressed. I had t-shirt and shorts and a flip-flop. It was a really kind of a messy situation, right? And I was hoping the whole time the dean wouldn't see it. But now I wished I just did an accusation audit. I wished I just said this. You're probably wondering why I'm coming to you with a child at this meeting, right? You're probably thinking I am very underdressed for this particular meeting. And you probably wonder why you're wasting your time talking to a person who looks like a beggar from the street, right? But I'm actually a CEO of a and then continue there, because what you do is you immediately relieve the pressure of like, yeah, this person's going to constantly be thinking this when they're talking to you, right? They're gonna be, why do you have a baby at this meeting, right? Why did you show up in? And so this is very, very useful information for you whenever you find yourself in a difficult situation, right? You can just say, hey, I'm late for this meeting, for this interview. You're probably wondering why you're talking to me right now and why, you know, you're probably wondering why you should be talking to a person who can't make it to a meeting on time. Yes, I am wondering that. You're probably thinking I'm not going to make a great employee and this interview might be a waste of your time. Yes, I'm thinking that. Well, I'm here to tell you, blah, blah, and then continue from there. That is an accusation audit. Okay. All right. Anyways, after that, we went to the process of discovery, 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 and then mirroring a few times, right? And then finally, the last part is pretty important. It's called a loss aversion. Okay. Now that I know Vera's interested in it, I'm going to say, well, what if I can't give it to you, right? What if I'll give it to somebody else now? And Vera immediately was like, oh, let's get this done, right? So I can then control the timing where the deal happens. Okay. So let's practice this with Bila. Bila, I'm going to approach. You're going to be a university administrator, and we're going to try this out. Tendi, this might be useful for, let's say, people. If you want to negotiate with a third party to get a story printed about guests, right? Let's say you want to get a influencer to publish one of our stories about a guest or a partner or whoever, you're probably going to have to persuade them at some point. So this can be a useful experience. Okay, let's go to Bila. Hi, good morning, Bila. How are you doing?
Hi, good morning, sir. Very good, actually. How about you?
I'm doing really well myself. Thank you for taking this meeting. You're probably wondering why I came in today.
Uh, yeah, I kind of got like a briefing of what are we going to talk here. But if you want to explain more about it, sure, go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you for giving me the permission to go ahead in this particular case. I do have something I want to say, but you're probably thinking I'm just another person in industry who wants to get some free interns. And
No, no, of course,
oh, okay,
no.
all right, fantastic.
That's not true.
Okay, that's not true.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. Well, here's my proposal. If I had, let's say, some information that could benefit you, your faculty, your students, and promote the prestige of your university and your own prestige, would that be something interesting?
Yeah, actually, I'm very interesting to anything that would help my student here. So yeah, please go ahead.
Fantastic. Okay, so you're interested in things that could potentially help your students.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So this is what I have. I've noticed that a lot of students that when they graduate, and despite having great education from their teachers, sometimes there's a few things that they are unprepared for in the real world. Have you seen that happen before in your experience?
Yeah, I heard a lot and see it from like the other lecturers and also from the student themselves that they see that sometimes the things that they learn from school aren't really like work make them ready for the real world. Yeah, you know what I mean.
So sometimes the students see that the things they learned at school don't make them ready for the real world.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, like in what ways? How?
Yeah, in like in working, a lot of things that they learn aren't actually, I don't know, in line or to what people actually need or company actually need or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like if, let's say, a company was able to produce things that were more in line, that would be of benefit to your students and perhaps to your faculty as well.
Well, yeah, necessarily. Of course, it doesn't only, we don't only want the company to align with us, we also want our student to align with the company as well in this
Okay.
case.
So it sounds like then if students can align better with companies, that would be of benefit to the university.
For the student, university will be happy if the student happy, of course.
Okay. So if the university is happy when the students are happy. So it sounds like
Yeah.
student happiness is pretty important for you.
Yes, of course. That's our best and main interest in the
Okay.
university, obviously.
Okay, well, today I think I might have a really good solution. So, based on the experience that we've had in the past 17 uh, Bukit Vista e-talks, which is a program where we explain a lot about entrepreneurship, innovation to students by inviting industry leaders to come and give a panel discussion. We've gotten about 90% positive reviews over thousands of students so far. So students, they're telling us that they're pretty happy. We're thinking about bringing this program to your school for February and exploring a topic that is meaningful, I think, for student progression. Would you be opposed to having a more detailed discussion about that?
Actually, that's very interesting. However, though, like as I'm a dean of social and political faculty, are you sure that your apa namanya your events will actually align with our study? Because like I believe that you are coming from more of an IT background as
I
well as
see.
yeah, hospitality background. How is it aligned with our faculty?
Okay, so it sounds like you're concerned about the alignment between our experience and the direction that your faculty would like to move in, correct?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Okay. Would I be able to ask, is that more important than student happiness?
Well, I believe that my students are also coming from social and political background, right? Which is
Okay.
why it's probably more aligned if we are also talking about social and political issues in this case. Yeah, it's
Ah,
aligned with it.
I see. So if I may summarize, it seems like your chief concern is whether or not the topic of these particular talks is going to be aligned with the social and political agenda that your faculty has.
Political agenda, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, well, you know what I mean, right? I didn't mean it to
Yeah, I know.
sound like that, but
I know
the
what you
social and
mean.
political, let's say, direction that you're giving for your faculty.
Yeah, of course, because I want that. I want my student to actually got into, like, the job, and that they are willing to. And since they are coming to social and political faculty, I believe that they are passionate about social and political faculty, which is why we would want to work together with people who also passionate in these issues.
Okay. Sounds like you're very selective about who you want to be presenting information to your team, to your students.
Yes, of course. Only
Okay.
the best for my student. Yeah.
Okay, well, very good. So here's the plan. We're going to come up with a topic that addresses, let's say, the sustainability of tourism in a global pandemic, right? And this topic has wide-ranging political and social implications at the moment. So we think that this might be a really good opportunity to cooperate with your school, and we're thinking about bringing also some experts, perhaps yourself, to this panel to join other experts in tourism and sustainable businesses and entrepreneurship and perhaps technology to create a conclusive and comprehensive conversation about this particular idea. Would you be opposed to being participating in this program?
Actually, like, the more the merrier, I believe. And
Okay.
then, like, may I know also, like, who are the people who are going to be like the panel in this event?
That's an excellent question. And for right now, I'd like to start with, well, probably we'll go back to some of our past panelists in the past 17 talks to find somebody who has relevant experience. But definitely by the end of this week, we'll probably have a better idea because we are planning to actually put this together by the beginning of February. So I would just need another week to get the time to organize a panel. But my invitation to you can go out today if you'd like.
Oh, so by invitation you mean like to be your panel, or?
Well, certainly, yeah, to be part of our panel.
Oh, sure then. So I have to decide it by today.
If you can, that would be great. But if not, then how much time would you require to be able to make a decision for this?
Okay, so it's Thursday and we are nearing to weekends. I need to like discuss it with my team as well. I
Okay.
think maybe next week.
Okay, fantastic. Next week, what time?
What day is it again? It's maybe Thursday next week.
Okay,
At
Thursday next week. Sounds
Yeah.
good. Okay, so what I can do is this. Why don't I give you an email with all the starter packet, the information about our past events, and a little bit of the potential speakers we might have on board for this. And I can send it to you today, right after our conversation, and that could be useful for you to present in front of your team and your people. And I'll get back to you before Thursday next week.
Yeah, sure. Go
Okay.
ahead and send the email.
All right, sounds great. Okay. All right. So, did everyone see those particular practices, right? So, I labeled each one as I was using them. No oriented question. Would you be opposed to, right? Would you find a reason not to do this, right? So, that makes a situation a little bit easier to say no to. And yeah, remember, no is not a bad thing. You want people to say, no, it's okay. No, I could do that. No. When people say, here, do you have any money? Uh, no. But if you say it the other way, would there be a reason for you not to donate to charity today? Right? It's a little bit different than do you have money to donate to charity today? Right? Would there be any reason for you not to donate to charity today? And then you start thinking, no, I guess, yes. I don't know. Yeah. So a no-oriented question generally is a more powerful question than a yes-oriented question. You're looking to get the correct answer would be no, right? So that's a no-oriented question. Mirror, mirror, label, label. Okay, that's pretty much it. I just threw this in because I see a lot of times in the PR cycle, in the advocacy cycle, we get stuck on distribution. We can't get that person who we want to distribute for us access. So hopefully by teaching you guys this technique, you can advance and further your on stage 3. All right, let's do this. Cindy, you're my secretary. Let's share the screen and take a look at what's on the agenda this week. So hopefully everybody's been reaching their SLAs on advocacy. Let's go to Tendi first. Tendi, any sort of feedback this week on your advocacy efforts? Have you been reaching or underreaching, or what's been the situation there?
Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, actually, for the advocacy in partnership, currently, for the SLA is not achieve the partner story like that, because we still under discuss with the Cindy for the format. So starting from this week.
Okay.
So we had make the draft actually for the format.
Okay.
If you see there. So yeah, the target audience is potential owner, and then get story collected is we want to collect at least 4 story per month. So we have the material.
Yep.
And the story published is 2 story per month.
Okay.
And then channel will be website and then Facebook. And then for the brand design for the blog, there's a guideline I got from Cindy for the copywriting.
Mhm.
And then we want to use the new practice for using bahasa, because most of the partner I think potentially from using bahasa.
Mhm.
And then the topic of the story is we want to use all the chapter actually, like awareness, conversion, transformation, advocacy. For example, like awareness, how in the beginning they meet, they define Bukit Vista, for example, like that, from where, everything. And then like the transformation as well, like how they start the business of the property, like that.
Mhm.
So I think we want to cover all the chapter, like technology as well,
Mhm.
how we transform how the partner transform the technology. And then the title should be catching, engaging as
Yep.
well. There's of course as well. And then the intro, it will be like from the writer intro, from us intro first, little intro, and then continue with the main story from the partner side. So partner will tell the story using the 5-way 1H,
Okay.
like that,
Very good.
when, what, like that.
Yep.
And then flow of the story is from the beginning, like start, like from they didn't know until they know, like that, for
Mhm.
example.
Mhm.
And then the ending will be the conclusion of the story, and then call to action, like the call to action for follow up the story, like that.
Okay, very good. So there's a few approaches. This is a good general format, okay? But we also need to, let's say, have an experience design in this particular case. Who is going to be the reader, and what kind of experience do we want to bring them through? Okay, so that is how you know you've done this job correctly. How you do it is what I see here, right? This is your format. Let's talk about that experience and try to craft it. I think I sent the Dan Brown masterclass to a few people. Did anybody get that link from me? The Dan Brown masterclass on how to create a story? No? Okay. Uh, everyone knows who Dan Brown is, right? Or I don't know, maybe generation gap here. Da Vinci Code? Anyone know that movie? Oh my God. Okay. All right. If you don't know that movie, raise your hand. Okay. Everyone knows the Da Vinci Code. All right. Dan Brown is a pretty successful author, and he gives essentially a good masterclass on how he creates really captivating stories. Now, stories are stories, they're pretty general. So, these are a few ways you can craft a story, right? One, you need to have a contract with the reader, which is what is it that the reader will experience by the end of my story, and why should they read my story? Okay. So, read my story because this is how blah 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 you can become like this. Okay, most of the inspirational stories that you read have that contract built in. It's like something like, why are you going to read the autobiography of Gandhi? Why are you going to read, let's say, this story about this person? Why do we look at the story on the all hands of our inspirational figure? The contract is this, essentially. We're saying that read this story, understand this story, and you will know how to be positively transformed. You will be inspired by this story. So that's step one. Step two is you have 2 possible ways to go about the story that makes it interesting. Okay. One, sorry, I'm flipping you off if I do one, right? Okay. The first way is the clock. Okay. This is a pretty interesting format for a story. Try to fix something around a very limited amount of time. and create the tension through the time. I'll give you an example. Pat Made had only 13 months to build and get guests into his property. Why? Because the bank only allowed a loan if he was able to complete and start producing interest payments in the next 13 months. So Pat Made was in a situation where he couldn't decide what he wanted to do. Should he build this property or should he build that property, right? He decided to, that afternoon, go and pray, right, in his family temple to, increase his confidence. Afterwards, Pat Made said, okay, I feel the confidence to go ahead. And he went ahead and started building. His construction was finished after 11 months, which left him only 2 months to find a suitable property management company to actually start bringing in the revenue. We found Pat Made at this time, or Pat Made, it should be Pat Made's perspective, right? And then Pat Made finds Bukit Vista. Bukit Vista is able to install the software, the marketing, all these other pieces, and he reached his target in time. He was able to make his first interest payment back on the loan, and therefore the bank did not need to foreclose on his house, okay, on his new project. So that is a clock story. That's essentially, there's a certain amount of time something needs to happen, and then that was done, correctly, okay? That makes Tendi an interesting story. It makes people want to read it, right? Because you can set in the very first sentence, Pat Made only has 13 months before he needs to pay back his loan for the new thing that he bought. A lot of owners will feel that. A lot of owners will be like, yes, that's my situation, right? I feel nervous about when I'm going to get my first money back. So they'll start reading the story because you've created a contract for them. They go, oh, okay, if I read the story, I'll understand how I can beat the bank or I can beat the clock, okay? That's the clock story. The second story, Dan Brown calls it the Crucible Story, okay? Remember, everybody here in advocacy, it's all about storytelling. How do you tell actually an interesting story? The Crucible Story is different. Does anybody here seen Die Hard? It was a American movie made in the 80s, I think, but it's really interesting. It's about this police officer. Okay, I'll tell the story, right? And you guys will kind of understand afterward. So this police officer goes to visit his wife, and he's in New York. His wife is in Los Angeles. He flies over the country to see her. So then he goes into the building, and they have a Christmas party. And at the Christmas party, there's some terrorists that capture the building, and they take all the employees, and they put them up in the building. This guy, he's a police officer. He happens to be in the bathroom at the time the terrorists are all attacking the building. He hides in the bathroom, right? And he sees the terrorists. They have guns. They have rocket launchers. They have all these sophisticated weapons. And he only has a gun, right? And he doesn't have even shoes. He doesn't have shoes. He only has his gun. There's 20 terrorists. He's there by himself. And now the building is getting surrounded, okay? He goes after one battle, after the next battle, the terrorists try to find him. They chase him all over the building. He survives one encounter. He survives another encounter. He survives a third encounter. He's barefoot, and now the terrorists are blowing up the glass. He has to run over the glass. The terrorists now want to blow up the building, and he has to take off all the bombs so the building doesn't blow up. The terrorists then grab his wife and threaten to kill his wife, and he has to do something else. So he's going through what's known as a crucible. It's just one challenge after the next challenge, 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 okay? In real life, if you think about your own life, that's terrible, right? It's like, man, I have so much homework to do, and on top of that, my internship project is due, and on top of that, my dad got sick, and on top of that, there's bill collectors coming to ask for money. On top of that, my mom decided to date another man. On top of that, all these things are going all the wrong way, right? So that is the Crucible Story, okay? And you can think about how to tell a partner story through that particular perspective. What about their life has been very challenging? What was it like when they were growing up? What was it like before they actually built their first property? What were the challenges they faced before they found Bukit Vista? What are the challenges during Bukit Vista, right? Their first check-in, their first angry guest, their first time they had a payment not go right, the first time the pandemic hit, the first person they had to fire. All these are challenges, and they make really good stories because you feel the pain, right? You feel the endurance that you have to get through. So those are two formats of themes of stories that I want you guys to think about when you create your stories, okay? So have a contract with the reader. Say, hey, look, I'm going to tell you a story about how this person in a very small amount of time was able to beat the odds, right? or I'm going to tell a story of suffering and how all this suffering eventually made people better. Okay, both kinds of stories are fairly inspirational, and they carry 90% of the movies that you watch are one of these two stories, actually, if you think about it. Okay. Marvel stories, like any type of superhero story, generally it's a crucible story, right? The hero has to do this, the hero has to do that, the hero has to do the next thing, next thing, next thing, and finally the hero is becomes a hero, right? Okay. So Tendi, that's my best formatting for you. So just keep within those two frameworks, and your stories will always be really rich and really engaging because people like reading those kinds of stories. Okay.
Yep. So
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Great. Wei, does that help you with the storytelling framework that we had talked about earlier?
And from the advertisement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's go to Bila. Bila, what do you think about this particular choice of formatting for stories? Contract, crucible, clock.
Yeah, it can be used, but I think I also want to know one or two example of the use of it, so that we can know also what is the best practice of it.
Sure, I just told you one, right? I just told you
Oh,
about like the person who has a bank loan and they are, they don't have enough time to pay the bank loan before a certain time. And they found Bukit Vista right before their bank loans are due. So that's an example of a clock story. Okay. Crucible story can be similar. You just have to, these stories are there, Bila. These stories are there attendee. You just have to discover them, right? So building a property is generally not a very straightforward process. It's not like going and buying like a can of Coke or something. It's generally a suffering process, right? You go and you compete to get a piece of land, and then you compete to get an architect, and then the architect doesn't do what you want, and then this happens, and then that happens, and then this happens, and then all these different stages happen. So property owners, when they read that, they'll go, "That's a great story. That's my life, right? That's what I've been experiencing over the past whatever." So generally, if you can find that format of the story and then show at the very end, hey, Bukit Vista came and you were inspired and positively transformed, then that becomes the thing that people really remember, right? They take a lot from that. But let's go and try to find a real example so we can plug it in. Yeah, Tendi? And I think that
Yep.
can be a way that we integrate this together. Okay?
Yep.
All right. Tendi, then let's set up some milestones. Is there a person that has a clock story that you know of? Is there a person who has a crucible story that you know of?
Clock person. Yes, I think I have in the Uluwatu village house.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
because like you said, the owner take a loan for make the property,
Right,
and then for the pandemic, it's very hard time because cannot pay, right?
right.
Because like that, and then need to pay operational, then the loan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's
Okay.
the right person.
You have to decide whether that's a clock story or a crucible story, right? Crucible is they encounter one difficulty after the other. Clock story is they need to figure out a solution before a certain amount of time has passed. Which story do you think that is?
Oh, certain of time. So have to pay, yeah, for
Mhm.
the for example the clockwise. Hmm. Yeah, I think for the partner is clockwise. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
If you can make it a clock story, then put it as a clock story, right?
yeah.
Um, okay.
But
Let-
but I think for the Uluwatu Village House, we have already the stories on the website. Should
Mhm.
I change the
You
partner
can.
or
If here's how you know whether or not your story is any good. Let other people
yeah
read it, right? And let them see if they finish reading it. If they
yeah
finish reading it, it's a good story because it drew them in. It was able to like, oh yeah, that sounds like my life, right?
yeah
But if they don't finish reading it and they don't remember it, that means either they don't like to read or it wasn't a very good story, right? So that's how I would look. And all stories can be improved. Tendi, don't think of a story as you just write it
okay
once and that's it. The way to think about it is that there should always be framework and then unit design on a story. Okay, so framework is what is the pathway of that story going to bring me? It's going to start here, it's going to bring me up, it's going to go like zigzag a little bit, and then finally I get resolved. Okay. If you think of all movies have the same pathway. Am I right?
Yeah.
You start somewhere, the main protagonist has some sort of problem that they're trying to resolve. The problem then carries them into different directions. The main protagonist eventually solves the problem and the movie concludes, right? That's probably 90% of movies, okay? There's film noir where the main protagonist dies and you're just left wondering, well, what happened, right? What's going on here? There's those kinds of movies too, but they're a little bit more rare. But usually the arc of every story is the same. So when you think of the arc of a story, just make sure it kind of travels in that direction and you'll have a good story. Yes, Sandy.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, I think the challenge is I don't know if whether the partner is one transparent about the loan, because it will be tell their like their bad, right? So if they have the loan like with a certain of amount like that, and then they also have some family there. Maybe
Okay.
I don't know, but if that's I think that's a potential challenge. I think
That's why you need to select your advocate. Right? It goes back to step one. Is your person a person who is an advocate? Or do they actually have a story that's truly inspirational? Maybe they're in the middle of their story and there's nothing good to say yet, right? Maybe they're still on the way to paying back their loan and they're still underwater. So that might not be an advocate. But if a person has already crossed through, they've already kind of come through the other side and they're safe now, then I'm sure they would have no problem to talk about that, right? Because it's already behind them.
I think
Like,
it's more easy if the people is already past that, right?
yeah,
So they will more easy because they don't have that problem anymore like that, but they
exactly.
can start all the story like that.
Exactly. Generally, this is why older people tend to have good stories, right? Because they're not in the middle of something where they can't talk to you about it because they're still struggling with it. It has to be a person who, Claire, right? When we brought Claire to do the, you were there, right, for the Claire discussion, Tendi?
Yes.
So the questions that we asked Claire, Bila, you were asking the questions for Claire's interview, right? Or was it somebody else? No, maybe it was somebody else. Okay. The questions that we asked Claire were not dramatic enough, right? They were very polite and they were very soft core questions. Claire has been through a lot of shit, I'm sure, right? Been a lot of, difficult situations. So what you should try to find is what are those situations, right? When you bought a property off plan, what was the biggest fear happening in your mind, right? At what point did you feel safe that this was going to happen? And what did you feel before that point? Okay. When you had to pay your first payment, what were you feeling during that point? When you paid your last payment, what did you feel? So those set the anchors for the story, and that's how you actually build a really good story, right? You can sort of share in that fear, share in that concern, and ideally get those quotes from the person, and that can be your story, right? When Clara first started building a villa, she was very intimidated by what it could mean. And this is her quotation here, right? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. I was in a foreign country and I didn't know too many of the laws here. And I had heard all these situations where people who had built property, they were cheated. And so I came in here feeling not so certain, but I was in love with the location, right? Okay, the good points, blah, 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 blah. And then that starts framing a situation where it becomes really rich. Okay, I think we've covered this well enough at this point. Let's try to adopt now. Yeah, Tendi?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why don't we do this? Why don't, as Bila said, let's bring a story in. Let's practice, right? Getting the story so that it starts sounding really thick, it starts sounding really, really juicy. A clock story or a crucible story. And that can be the basis of our next discussion next week. Yeah, Tendi?
Yeah. So maybe I will meet one of the partner,
Yep.
the advocate, and then collect the story
Okay.
using the maybe record. I just record the sound. So while
Yeah.
I'm talking, yeah. So record the sound. Maybe need to translate, or we can hear together or something.
Yeah, well,
and then we can,
don't replay the whole thing. That will take up the entire interview time, right? But just get us the key moments, right, of the story. Like, where did this person begin? What was their greatest challenge? One, greatest challenge 2, greatest challenge 3, greatest challenge 4, and how did they finally resolve the situation. Put Bukit Vista in there as, let's say, a protagonist, right? Not as a villain. Don't put Bukit Vista in there as like a villain. Be like, oh God, Bukit Vista messed up my life, No, but put the company in a way that like we are helping enhance the story.
Yeah.
If it isn't there, then don't talk about it, right? Don't make it up, because then
Yeah.
it's not authentic. It's just a fairy tale. But if it is there, then put it in and just get that out. Okay. Everybody, advocacy is 90% how well your story actually sounds, right? So when you think about a key brand or a person who you have a good impression of, why do you like this particular uncle? Why do you like this particular relative? Why do you like this particular brand? You can almost go back and remember some story about it that actually is meaningful to you. Like, oh, my uncle was a war hero. He did this and this and this, right? Or my whoever, my aunt, she was the minister's, whatever, right? Like grandmother, and she did this and this and this, right? And that's what makes this particular. That's how you heard about it, because that story transmitted to everybody. So the more high quality the story, the further it transmits. So our job is to look for what are the really, really inspirational stories out there, find them, and then give them away so that they can start gliding across and start propagating. That becomes how your brand is understood. Your brand is usually understood through many of the same type of stories that highlight the meaning behind the brand. Okay. All right. Great. Yes, Tenny.
Yeah, I think I also need some help for make the question list to collect
Sure.
the
Who do you
story.
want? Who do you want to help you on that one?
Do you think it's better if, for example, like 2 or 3% make different, then we can compare it or
Sure.
choose,
Let's
or
do that.
just one?
Let's do that. Okay. Let's do that. Let's have who do you want to nominate to help you with that question list?
I think Cindy, Bella.
Okay. How much time do you need?
I will go to there around Saturday, maybe until on Saturday.
How much time do you need to make the questions?
To make the question,
Yeah.
I think to make the question, I think 1 hour enough.
Okay. All right. So why don't you do this, Tendi? Tendi will pick a time for an hour before the meeting next week. Yeah. Yeah. Just create the document. You might not even need to meet, Tendi. You just need to give a deadline for Cindy and Bella. Okay. Say by this time, just have my questions ready for me. And then I will go and ask them, set up a paper or a coda. All right. And then just have them fill in the questions. And then you can then look at which questions are actually better. All right. So just set a deadline for your two nominees to do it. Wait, you should probably ask if they agree first, Tendi. Why don't you
Yeah.
ask?
Maybe to Cindy and Bella, did you accept the nomination? Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, and make it clear to your nominees when they need to have it done. And then if you need time to review the question, then get everyone together to meet to review the questions. Okay? Okay, very good, Tendi Brown. Tendi Brown, is that
Thank
short
you.
for Charlie Brown?
No, like the brown, like in the line, the teddy bear, in the line apps.
Oh, okay. I don't use
So
Line,
you know,
so I'm not sure.
brown. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Tendi.
Yeah.
Okay. Next topic then. Cindy, let's go over to the next section then. So Tendi will work on this and get the key moments by February 3rd, which will be before our next meeting. Okay.
Sorry.
Yes, Cindy.
Yeah. For the question, how when do you need it, Kak? For the question itself.
For the question, I will go to the property around Saturday.
For us,
if you
for
can-
us.
Yeah, if you can make it by Friday, it will be great.
Friday, what time,
Oh,
Tendi?
tomorrow ya, Kak?
Friday until the whole day, until 6. It's okay. So.
Okay. So end of day by Friday. Okay. All right. Do you want to create, Tendi, do you want to put a place where they can write down the questions?
Yeah, actually, we had already the coda on the advocacy in the partnership. I had tagged Bella and Cindy on that document.
Okay, here, why don't you do this, Tendi? Go ahead and get the link of that document and then put that link on this particular row, okay, in the discussion so that it's easy for everybody to find. Okay?
Okay, done.
All right, done. Perfect. All right, let's continue. So this one we'll follow up next week and see how we did. Next is let's build a tool that will. Oh, wow! I think I used up all the time almost. All right, framework for the third stage of discussion. Okay, Bila, tell us a little bit more. Oh yeah, let's see this timeline, everyone. Bila, Cindy, let's take a look at the timeline.
Yeah, we actually basically have already migrated to the PR calendar on Code. Oh,
All right,
so yeah, we
can't wait to
can
see
see it
this.
there.
Wait, employees. This one.
Okay, let's put it in the table format so that it's a little bit easier to read.
Oh, this is. Oh, okay.
Yeah, table becomes the fastest way to ingest the PR calendar. All right, nice. Okay. ETB starting mid test, and this is US format, right? So month, day, and year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, Monday.
Okay, got it. So it looks like we don't have anything scheduled in February, right?
Yeah,
And
it's holiday actually.
all of February is a holiday?
Oh, no, I mean, yeah, it's January. So February, in the early February is just the beginning of the semester.
I
So
see.
the student is usually just start the class.
Okay. Beginning of semester, if I understand correctly, Bila, is a really good time for clubs. Am I right?
Yeah, they are starting to apa namanya, open the recruitment and then start planning of their apa namanya, events for
Okay,
the following year. Yeah.
great. So why don't we do this then? Are there any clubs that we can cooperate with at the beginning of the semester in February?
I think basically like all the club would probably starting since February. So basically all the club that we have can be
Okay.
cooperated with
Okay, great. So
at the start of February.
let's start putting those on the calendar, all right? Do any clubs have, let's say, orientation days that they bring in all their members and maybe we could speak on that day?
I believe they have, but it's usually for internal, and they don't even like invite all the other student other than their club member or all the lecturer as well. So it's very small event.
Okay, let's reach out. We have good relationships, I think, with a few clubs, right? So we have good relationships with DSC.
Yeah.
Yeah, do they have any events, let's say, in the next month?
We have events with GDSC MUM Malaysia this January, not February. Yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, I haven't asked much about GDSC for specific GDSC how, because usually they have their own planning.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look then. So, all right, we have internship preparation at SMU, internship preparation at NTU. Okay. So it seems like we need to get busy now, right? For the Singapore internships. Do we need to register or do they need to register? Let's go to Cindy. Are you the what does this mean? Like registration?
Okay. So few of them, like for the NUS, they require us to upload it in the NUS Talent Connect because they will, the student will register from the portal first, but
Okay.
then we can bring them to our own portal. And
Okay.
for the SMU, we need to internship registration. Yeah, we need to register to the SMU as well. And then for the NTU, we need to submit the job descriptions
Okay.
by
Good.
March.
Okay, cool. So what we need to do is we need to delegate people to do this now. Yes, Cindy?
Yep.
Okay, got it. Let's look at our calendar right now. Cindy, do we have a delegation tool on this calendar?
Maybe I can set the PIC over here.
Yes, let's go ahead and do that. That sounds good. Okay. And let's do this then. Let's put a status on these particular cards too as well. We got 8 minutes. Okay, good. Let's see. Let me go over to Vera. Okay. Well, Cindy works out the PIC. Let's go to Vera. Vera, what do you think the status of each particular calendar event should be?
Oh, wait. Status. But it's a calendar, right, sir? But I'm like for what we should be making the status for.
Well, we need a status to know, like, I guess, is it done, right? Has it been delegated? So that we don't have to keep
It's
on
more like the
asking.
updates.
Yeah, like the updates. So let's go to Cindy then. Cindy, what do you think are the appropriate updates for the status? Like, I'm trying to figure out the formwork here or the framework here.
Yeah, I think because each university have different needs, have different requirements. I think it should be depends on the requirements. For example, have we upload in the NUSLN Connect here? Have we register? Have we submit the job description?
Okay,
I think it
that
depends.
that doesn't change the status though. The status should be, I think, either it's done or I'm not sure what else. Let's just put done, right, for now. So let's put a checkbox on done, and then when we come up with more potential statuses, we can put that there. Okay, so that gives this. Oh, that's. I didn't know you could do that, Cindy. Did you just do bracket and then create a checkbox?
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, learn something
Hey.
today. That is cool. All right. Okay. Done. What else besides done could it be? I don't know.
Registered.
Well, if it's registered, it's already there, right? So we've already seen it. If it already has a row there, then contacted. Okay. Okay, sure. Let's just put done for now, Bila, because contacted, I think then what does it mean, right? Okay. Let's see if there's okay. Let's do this. Let's just use done for now. And if there's other statuses, then we can put them in. All right. So the internship preparation NUS, that one is not done. Is there any other progress that should be noted there? Let's go to Bila.
NTU is already done. We just
Okay.
waiting for people to register.
Okay, let's put that in then. Cindy, you can copy and go done. Okay, all right, that one's done. Okay, great. What about SMU? Oh, actually, wait. Let's put the PICs in so I know who to call. Who's the PIC for the NUS internship?
NUS is Cindy.
Okay.
NTU is me, and then do we
Cindy,
already decided or
Cindy, can you do this though?
Yeah.
Can you actually put it as a data form, right? Do you know how that's done? Yeah, like it's wait. Column
Using
type.
the
People, yes,
one.
I like that. Yeah, there you go. Okay, great.
Okay.
Because then you can look for all the times where Cindy appears on something. Yeah, there you go. Bingo. That's right. Don't assume use data. There you go. Like magic. All right, SMU.
previously I managed it, so I think you can put me in there.
Okay. All right. Let's put Bila there. The Tech Talk.
The tech talk is me,
Okay. And then the newsletter.
Cindy. Yeah, it's Cindy.
Okay. And then the UGM start of even semester.
Oh, that's good. It's like a timeline, sir. I'm not sure if we should put
Oh, I see.
PIC.
Okay. All right. At some point, we probably have to start putting PICs in charge, right? Otherwise, nobody will
Yeah.
do it. So, okay. Should we make that decision now, or should we make that decision next week?
I think I can come up with all the list of our partner and
Okay.
then divide it between me and Cindy, and then we
Okay.
can put the PIC there.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. That's actually pretty cool. This is a good calendar now. Tendi, over to your side. Do you actually have a calendar for partnership events?
Yes, I had make it, sir.
Okay.
But it's still on the develop tools before
Okay.
the adoption, but I had create one if I can share my
Oh,
screen.
well, before you share, Tendi, I have a question.
Yeah.
Does your partnership actually go back? Do you and Gani share the same calendar?
And Gani?
Yeah, because he's an awareness, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of advocacy becomes awareness again.
Not yet.
I think you guys should share the same calendar. Like you notice in
Uh,
the employee funnel, they're sharing the same calendar. Awareness and advocacy is on the same calendar, right? Because advocacy becomes another form of awareness. So that's
yeah, I
what I
see.
would
Yeah, I think
recommend. Yeah.
need to. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
With Gani, yeah. Okay.
Okay. I think you guys should share the same calendar. Otherwise, it becomes kind of confusing because you might be using the same channel 2 days or on the same day for the same kind of topic, right? So advocacy is a supplement to creating awareness. Okay.
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 Sure.
Yes.
My question is maybe to this calendar, the employee calendar. Yeah. For example, like the NTU, the number 3, right?
Yeah.
This is the calendar for the advocacy or calendar for the PR.
Advocacy. PR is advocacy. So PR is advocacy, right? So what PR
PR.
does is that they get stories and they find partners to share those stories. That's essentially what PR is. Okay. So for example, when you find a partner story and you can get Chucha to share the partner story through their social media, that's PR. It's also advocacy. Um, it could be a magazine, right? It could be, I don't know, a Balinese community, group,
Yeah.
whatever it is, right? So once they have these stories, then that's essentially what they share out to get our stories distributed or to connect. And this is essentially mapping the distribution. So we need to
Distribution.
distribute in these
Nice.
particular channels. Yeah.
Okay,
Stage
so
three.
the advocacy, if in the partnership, so I make the calendar for when I collect to Gani when awareness will publish the story, right?
Yeah. But here's the thing that we don't have in partnerships so much that we have in employee yet, Tendi. The
Yeah.
biggest difference is for advocacy, you need to get access to a channel that is not your own. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you need to find, okay, where can I distribute this that is not, Bukit Vista territory, right? It is somebody else's territory. So are there magazines? Are there community groups that are not Bukit Vista that would be willing to share your particular story? So this is where we need to develop our you know what this is what it's called, this is our community experts, right? So that's what the community experts are for you. They are essentially partners that can distribute material for you. So go on the community experts and see, hey, will they be willing to share a story about a particular owner on their channels to inspire people, right? Okay, cool. All right, but that's more work. That's where we need to actually get some hands involved and see if we can branch out more channels. Okay, cool. Bila, yes, I understand. Okay, so you'll fill out this calendar by the next iteration. Let's go up and see if there's anything else then. Cindy, are there? Well, no, actually, let me go to Bila. Bila, are there any other groups? Wait, sorry. Actually, I need to go to Cindy first. Cindy, last time I asked you for the 10 distribution channels, right? That we did that exercise on. Are all those distribution channels on this calendar already?
No, but mainly for the Indonesian university, they have the MBKM. They use the MBKM.
That's okay. That's
They
okay,
can-
right? Remember, hey, everybody in employee funnel, this is what I mean. Before we had MBKM, we would always do these short-term recruiting things like whale hunting, like, job board things. These are short-term because they don't give a lot of value back to the university, don't give a lot of value back to the partner. Okay. Now we're doing more long-term things because this is the problem, Cindy. If we want all the best applicants to come during MBKM, then we need to get brand awareness for the 5 months before they select. So when they actually go in to MBKM and they see Bukit Vista, they go, oh yeah, Bukit Vista back in January 2022, they were talking about, this, right? Data science. They were talking about sustainable tourism. They're talking about that. I know who they are. I'm going to, apply here. So that's the strategy of PR now, is to build that brand awareness so that when somebody selects, they're okay. This is what we're looking for then, Cindy. We're looking for opportunities to get brand awareness inside the universities so that they recognize us, right? So that they go, oh, okay, yeah, I've heard of Bukit Vista before. That's the idea, okay? So we're going to go to those universities. We're going to look for, when do they have big events online, right? Can we be featured as a guest speaker? Can we go and guest speak at, like what we practiced at the very beginning here? Can we network with professors, university officials, whatever, to get that access? Okay. Okay, cool. We're out of time today. Vera, quickly introduce what your point is, and then we'll look at it next week. Vera.
Yeah, so this is about the current advocacy SLA. Well, actually, there's one SLA that we're just like a little bit confused on whether it should be conversion or advocacy.
Okay, let's take a look at it.
Yeah,
2.5% hires from referrals per month. Is that conversion or advocacy? That's advocacy, I think, actually. So, yeah, that's advocacy. Okay. And the reason it's advocacy, Vera, is that's the quality of your advocacy. Okay. So if you have high quality advocacy, you should be seeing people are coming to become hired, right? That means that your advocacy is essentially generating that. Okay, listen, awareness, conversion, transformation, advocacy, right? That's the normal loop. This is the thing with your company. If it starts getting really good, it goes just transformation, advocacy, transformation, advocacy, transformation, advocacy, right? The awareness comes from advocacy. The conversion comes from advocacy. The thing that you want to see is that people just already come. They're like, great, I've heard great things about Bukit Vista. I'm totally ready to work here. Hire me, right? That means that you've done your job in advocacy really well, that people are already, you don't need to do any more advertising. Your advertising is already going out, kind of word of mouth. Okay. So I do think it is an advocacy thing, but I need to think about it a little bit more though. Yeah. Vera.
Yeah, so if it's advocacy, then what might be like the potential tools so that we can like keep improving the SLAs?
Okay. The story, the advocate, and the distribution.
Yeah. I mean, like in a more like documented way, like that's
That
like
is
what
the
we're
documented
thinking.
way. So let's say you did
Okay.
not get the correct percentage of hires from referrals, right?
Mhm.
You need to break it down into a possibility. Was it possible that you didn't have the right story? So that,
Mhm.
okay, let's say you didn't have the right story. People came in here expecting something and you had to reject them all because they had the wrong expectations. It's probably the story was wrong, right? Maybe they said, oh yeah, Bukit Vista is a great place to act crazy, and you never get fired for it because we have a very tolerant culture to crazy ideas. So wrong story, right? That's not the story that should be going out there. You need to
Mhm.
make sure the story that goes out there is correct. Perhaps it's like, let's say you didn't find the right advocate. The person actually wasn't very inspirational and people were disgusted by what they did, right? And that's once again maybe not the right advocate, not the right story. And then the third reason is maybe the channel was not the channel. Maybe you did all your advocacy and you put it into TikTok, and people are just entertained on TikTok, but they're not serious people who want to consider about career. So that could be the adjustment that you make on the next iteration. That's where your controls should be. And if you find the right advocate, you got the right story, then you should be able to start and you distribute in the correct way. Not like
Mhm.
IGP, for example, right? IGP is not well distributed. Am I right?
Mhm.
It's kind of hidden. Nobody can see it. So if you fix IGP distribution, then boom, right? A lot of applicants would be ready
Yeah.
to be calling. They were like, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to continue that project that Vera did last month. That was really, really cool. And so on and so forth. Okay. So that's how I would see it. Make sense?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Great.
you, sir.
All right, we're out of time. Thank you everybody for coming in. A few takeaways, right? So on the calendar, let's make sure that we work with student clubs because that's a really good time, Cindy, to actually get into the club networks. 2, if you have any resistance from any of the groups that you're contacting, just let me know. I'll walk you through the steps for persuasion negotiation. Okay, we're generally pretty good at that now, and we've developed a lot of competency here. Okay, and Tendi, to get that story out, you really need to think about like, okay, the two ideas, right? Crucible and the clock. And as long as you follow, I think, the framework for one of those stories, it will always be very interesting, and your story will be very compelling. And Vera, that's the idea too, right? Crucible clock. If you have that kind of story, most people who read that, they'll be like, oh, look at how much that person, went through, and they did it. They're able to like succeed in the end. That's really inspirational. I want to be that person. And then that's the kind of person who then comes in, becomes an applicant. Okay. Okay. All right, everyone. Have a good day. Bye bye. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.